Thank you very much for joining us for this presentation this morning, part of our Kirby Center Live Well, Be Well ongoing series of online mental well-being presentations, provided with the support of Ecclesiastical Insurance Community Impact Grant and United Way, Calgary and area. Before we begin, as we gather here today, it's vital we also remember the peoples who've gathered here for millennia. This is the Treaty 7 land of the Indigenous peoples of Southern Alberta, the Blackfoot Nations of Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, the Stoney Nakoda Nations of Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley, and the historic home of the Northwest Métis and Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. It is with the goal of reconciliation that we acknowledge the land on which we gather, and we thank the elders of these nations for their timeless contributions to this land. In honor of Mental Health Week, we continue our week-long series of presentations by professionals dedicated to various mental health issues. When one thinks of mental health, the immediate thought goes to isolation, depression, anxiety, that we are all experiencing as a result of the pandemic and everything we've been through this past year. However, there are many facets to the mental health: addiction, abuse, dementia, anxiety and mood disorders, schizophrenia and psychotic disorders, suicide, eating disorders, and much more. Mental illness indirectly affects all Canadians at some time through a family member, friend, or colleague. And in any given year, 1 in 5 people in Canada will personally experience a mental health problem or illness. This year, more than ever, we have come to understand that not being okay is okay, and the value of reaching out and staying connected, something we try to do with this series of presentations. This week, we explore several of these circumstances with professionals who guide you through understanding the illnesses and help you to get the answers and support that you or your loved one may need. Today, we feature the Alzheimer's Society of Calgary and explore dementia and the mental well-being of caregivers. And we are very pleased to welcome back Padma Genesh. Padma is a learning specialist with Alzheimer's Society of Calgary with background in family medicine and gerontology. She's been with the society now for over 9 years and has been representing her valuable information to Kirby Centers every year since 2013. We have been grateful to work with her over this past year to provide information and resources to help us maintain our well-being. Padma, tell us a little bit about Alzheimer, perhaps the difference between Alzheimer and dementia, and what can we do in order to help to maintain the mental health of our caregivers?
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, Colleen. I welcome you all to this session. Thank you all for joining us. I'm just going to share my screen here. Today's topic is dementia, Alzheimer's, and mental health of caregivers. So this is a very important topic for caregivers. So I'm going to, without wasting any time, I'm just going to go deep into dive straight away into the presentation. But I just want to tell you that you will be receiving a copy of my slides and also a link to an evaluation form. This is a new presentation that has been created for you. So I really want to know your feedback, okay? So please complete that evaluation. It's a very short evaluation, and then let me know whether this was useful for you. Okay, so with your permission, I'm going to go ahead. So today we are going to talk about first, what is dementia? What are the different types of dementia briefly? Then we'll go into Alzheimer's disease, which is the most common type of dementia. And then we'll talk about the symptoms, how Alzheimer's disease is diagnosed and treated at this time, and go straight into the topic of factors affecting mental well-being of caregivers. We look at how COVID-19 has impacted the mental health of caregivers. We'll talk about some mental health concerns and strategies, talk about how we can build our ability to face or cope with these adverse circumstances, that is building resilience through self-care. And then I'll be sharing several resources for caregivers and conclude with a brief introduction to the services or programs available to you through the Alzheimer's Society of Calgary. That's my plan. And I'm trying my best to slow down, okay? All right, so just brief look at the numbers here, the statistics. So currently 564,000 Canadians living with a diagnosis of dementia. And this includes 17,000 Calgarians, people living here in Calgary. And about 2% to 8% of people living with dementia are below the age of 65. So it can affect younger people too. It's not just a disease of the older adults, it can affect younger people too. And these numbers are expected to double by 2030, that is just in 9 years, and triple by 2050. And this is because of population aging. We are aging as a population, and the risk of developing dementia increases as we age. So at the age of 65, 1 in 9 people can develop dementia, whereas when we live longer to the age of 80 and above, 1 in 3 of us can develop dementia. And women are found to have double the risk of developing dementia during their lifetime compared to men. So 1 in 5 women can develop dementia compared to 1 in 10 men. And this is because of several reasons. Reasons being, women tend to live longer than men on an average, and also the hormonal changes that happen during a woman's lifetime, and also life experiences contribute to the difference in life experiences also contribute partly to this increased risk for women. So what exactly is dementia? Dementia is acquired condition. It's an acquired condition. We are not born with it. It's a progressive decline in or decrease in mental abilities that affects our daily life. So there's a progressive decrease in our abilities that affects our ability to carry out with all the activities of daily life. And it cannot be explained by any other physical or mental illness. And because dementia impacts all aspects of our life, we have the dementia umbrella, and below that, the symptoms that are commonly associated with dementia. The most common symptom of dementia, of course, as you all know, is memory loss. It begins with loss of recent memory, with a person forgetting recent events, recent conversations, and newly learned information. And as the dementia progresses, it would start impacting all aspects of the person's life. Persons living with dementia also have difficulty thinking and making decisions. Initially, it could be complex decisions, such as making financial decisions. But as the dementia progresses, the person would experience difficulty in making decisions on a daily basis. For example, on a cold day, how to dress themselves when they're going out. It's just an example. Persons living with dementia also have difficulty communicating. So difficulty expressing themselves and difficulty understanding others. Initially, the person is not getting the names of things they commonly use. For example, a cup, not getting that name. And they tend to use some other words to substitute for that. But as the dementia progresses, they have very, very real difficulty saying what they want to say, to start a conversation, to engage in a conversation, and also difficulty understanding others. Persons living with dementia also have visual problems, difficulty understanding what they are looking at. So for example, a shiny floor that's newly polished might look like a wet floor, or a dark shadow on the ground might look like a deep, dark hole. They also have difficulty understanding or assessing distances and depths. So they can have driving difficulties, not knowing where the other vehicles around them are, difficulty getting in and out of a bathtub, difficulty going down the stairs or using an escalator. All these are very common. challenges of persons with dementia. They can also have very quick changes in mood and several behavior changes as the dementia progresses. And above all, they have difficulty, the person has difficulty carrying out all the activities of daily life. So looking at the causes of dementia, about 5% of dementia is due to causes that can be completely controlled. That's just 5%, which means that 95% of dementia is incurable, okay? And these treatable causes of dementia include vitamin B12 deficiency, which can be corrected by taking vitamin B12 injections or shots, thyroid disease, which can be treated by taking appropriate thyroid medications, depression that can be treated medically and non-medically or by a combination, infections leading to a state of confusion, that's called delirium, where the person is confused, not able to recognize people around them, not able to think clearly, not able to communicate clearly. And all these are treatable causes, along with nutritional deficiencies. If the person is not eating a healthy, balanced diet, not drinking enough amount of water, that can also lead to symptoms of dementia, and certain medications, especially those belonging to a group called anticholinergics. If the person is on any anticholinergic medication for a long time, they can develop symptoms of dementia, and these medications include allergy medications such as Benadryl, some medications used to treat depression. Not all, but some of them that belong to this class of anticholinergics, some sleep medications and bladder control medications belonging to this group. So this is about the treatable causes of dementia. But we know that 95% of dementia is due to causes that we cannot completely treat. And the most common cause of dementia is Alzheimer's disease. And it's due to the presence of certain abnormal proteins in the brain called, and these proteins are an abnormal form of amyloid protein called beta amyloid that forms plaques that you can see. I'm just going to pull out my pointer, then I can point and show you what I'm trying to say here. So this is these abnormal proteins, deposits of abnormal protein called beta amyloid start accumulating in the brain of person with Alzheimer's disease. You can see that in the normal healthy brain, that's not there. So first I'll talk about the plaques. So what these plaques do is slow down the normal communication that is happening between nerve cells. It destroys the connections between nerve cells. So it's through the connections that messages are constantly traveling from different parts of the body to the brain, and from the brain to different parts of the body. So it slows down that messaging. It also destroys the connections. So the brain starts slowing down. And there's another protein called tau protein that is inside the nerve cells that you can see here. It's inside. And in persons who are developing Alzheimer's disease, this tau protein becomes abnormal. It changes into a toxic form and it gets all twisted and knotted. And that's what is called the tangles. And these cells with the tangles will ultimately be destroyed one by one, okay? So, and as these cells get destroyed, then the brain starts shrinking. So this is basically what is going on in Alzheimer's disease. And this is just the way an artist has drawn to help us understand. But this is how it really looks under the microscope. Plaques look like this, and tangles which are inside the cell look like this, okay? Now, these changes happen in the brain over 15 to 20 years. So it develops very slowly. And during this time, the person will not have any, the person will not notice any memory loss or any symptoms at all. And these changes don't show up on any routine test that you do. So that's why it goes unnoticed. Now, 95% of Alzheimer's disease occurs in people above the age of 65. So it's called late onset. 95% happens in people who are older or above the age of 65. And age is a risk factor, and a genetic component is also involved. I'll talk about that in a coming slide. And 5% of Alzheimer's disease happens in people below the age of 65, and it's called early onset Alzheimer's disease. Of that, 1% is due to defective genes that get passed on from one generation to the next. So it tends to run in the family, this 1% of Alzheimer's disease, and it happens in younger people. So these are the two varieties of Alzheimer's disease, two ways in which it can present. And this is what happens to the brain. This is a healthy brain, and you can see it is, when you compare with the Alzheimer's brain is much smaller, it is lighter, and also it is very much less dense. This is densely packed. And here there is a lot of gaps in between because that many cells have been destroyed. And this is what is giving rise to all the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. So this is the genetics of Alzheimer's disease. So I talked about the early onset, especially that 1% that is due to defective genes. And these are the genes presenilin 1, presenilin 2, and APP gene. So a person with any one of these genes has 70% risk of developing the disease during their lifetime, and 50% risk of passing it, handing it down to their children. Okay, so this is about the early onset, young onset Alzheimer's disease, especially that 1% that is inherited. Now, on the right-hand side, we have the genetics of late onset Alzheimer's disease. This is a common type that happens in people over the age of 65 years. 26 genes have been identified that contribute in their own small way to the overall risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. But of that, the strongest risk gene is ApoE4 gene. And it's believed that if a person has one copy of that gene, they have approximately 3 times higher risk of developing the Alzheimer's disease, this late variety. And a person with 2 copies of the gene has roughly 10 times higher risk compared to people who do not have that gene. And it also reduces the age at which the person would develop the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. So this is the common cause of dementia shown in this diagram. Now, pure Alzheimer's disease is 30%. Many people with Alzheimer's disease also have another type of dementia called vascular dementia that is due to stroke. So together, Alzheimer's disease can account for about 68% of all cases of dementia. Pure vascular dementia is associated with a stroke, okay, when blood flow to the brain is cut off. So this is vascular dementia. Pure vascular dementia is 12%, but along with Alzheimer's disease, it accounts for about 50% cases of dementia. Another 12% is caused by Lewy body dementia. This is another type of dementia associated with another protein, abnormal protein that is depositing in the brain, and that is the alpha-synuclein protein. And this type of dementia also includes the dementia due to, or the dementia associated with Parkinson's disease, comes under this group. Then the remaining 8% is due to other causes, brain injury or alcoholism or any other. There are several other causes of dementia that come under that 8%. So briefly talking about how dementia is diagnosed. Anyone who is concerned about their symptoms, you feel that you are losing your memory or you are seeing some changes in yourself or maybe a family member, the best thing to do is to write down how many times this has happened, how frequently you are seeing these changes, and then take it up to your doctor, to your family physician, and the doctor will take a detailed history from the person who is experiencing the memory loss or other symptoms, and then asking about, trying to assess their thinking abilities, their memory and behavior. And then this will be followed by an interview with a family member to find out if they are seeing the same changes or anything else, anything different they are seeing. Then if the physician is confirmed that, okay, yeah, the person might have some looks like dementia, then the doctor is going to send you for blood test. And these blood tests are to rule out all the treatable causes of dementia that we talked about. Okay, so vitamin B12 deficiency, your blood glucose level, your thyroid function, all that. And there is no single blood test for Alzheimer's disease as such, but it is being developed. Okay. Then cognitive assessment is the next step. That is to assess your mental abilities, your memory, your vocabulary, your verbal ability, your ability to do simple mathematical calculations, etc. And there are two types of tests used, MMSE and MOCA. This MOCA is not coffee. It is Montreal Cognitive Assessment Test. And this is a more commonly used one. It's scored out of 30, and a score of 26 and above is normal. Okay. And if this score is less, then the physician is even more confirmed now that this person, more convinced that the person has some dementia. Then if the doctor is not sure about the cause of dementia, the doctor might send you for imaging. It could be CT scan, MRI, or PET scan, whatever is required. Moving on to treatment of dementia. Approved medications are available only for treating Alzheimer's disease and Lewy body dementia, not the other types of dementia. And for Alzheimer's disease too, these medications do not cure the disease, do not stop the progression of the disease, do not slow down the progression of the disease. What these medications do is help control the symptoms for a short period of time. And after that, the medications would stop working and you will see all the symptoms there because the disease has been progressing in the brain. Okay. Medications currently available are Aricept or Donepezil, Exelon rivastigmine, or Reminil, or otherwise known as galantamine. And this is meant for mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease. Ebixa or Memantine, this is for moderate to severe disease. And at present, this is not covered by Blue Cross, Alberta Blue Cross. And some people cannot tolerate these medications because they get severe nausea and vomiting. And in that, for such people, this same medication, Exelon, is available as a skin patch. Okay. Now, another thing to be aware of, or if you are a caregiver, you are already experiencing this, is the behavioral symptoms associated with dementia. 75% of persons with dementia will exhibit these behavioral and psychological symptoms. So this could include mood changes such as depression, irritability, anger, agitation, means talking too much or pacing up and down, too many movements, all those kind of things. There could be disturbances in thinking, then that's known as delusions. So the person has very strong beliefs which are false. And usually delusions are the family is stealing their money or the spouse is cheating on them. These are very common. Hallucinations, that is experiencing things that are not there, seeing things that are not there, hearing sounds that are not there. And this can also contribute to behaviors. Inappropriate behavior. So behavior, showing behaviors that are very uncharacteristic, very unlike that person. Okay, wandering, tendency to leave the home or wherever they are, sleep disturbances. Persons with dementia can also exhibit apathy, means loss of initiative. They don't want to do anything at all. Loss of empathy. So, even for the caregiver, if they are struggling, they are not able to, it's because it's the nature of the disease. It's not their fault. It's just the nature of the disease. Loss of empathy, loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities. And these behaviors are seen in almost all persons diagnosed with dementia over the course of their journey through dementia. Over the course of dementia, they are seen in almost everyone. And these behaviors can actually, these symptoms can cause a lot of stress, caregiver stress and burnout. It can lead to early placement of the person in a care facility, because the person becomes, cannot be taken care of at home. It becomes unsafe, and also poor quality of life for the person as well as their caregiver. So this is something that adds to the mental health concerns of caregivers. So this is very important to know what are the emotions that are commonly experienced by caregivers. And if there are any caregivers here attending today and you see this and you feel that you are having these emotions, that is very normal. So I want you to know that. Loss and grief, isolation and loneliness, and this can only become worse with this COVID. Confusion, because dementia does not come with a user's manual. You have to figure out, so each thing that you're doing, is this the right thing? You're always confused, stressed out and burnt out. Worry and anxiety, depression, fear, especially if it's an adult child taking care of a parent, that at the back of the mind, that fear is there. Am I going to end up like this? That unspoken, but that fear is definitely there. Frustration and anger sometimes, guilt, feeling guilty, feeling hopeless and helpless. These are all very human emotions. And if you are experiencing this, understand that you are not alone. Okay, this is common. This is a common experience of caregivers. So as a caregiver, you are experiencing several losses. Your loss of your future plans. You might have had future plans. Loss of control over your life. Loss of the role that you had as a spouse. Now that becomes, that's changing into the role of a caregiver. So loss of that relationship. Loss of recognition from the loved one, which can be really very heartbreaking. A loss of a life partner. Support and companionship that you expect from your partner. The person is not able to give you that because of the disease, as the disease progresses. And having time for oneself to take care of your physical health, your mental health. So lots of losses. And the same if you are an adult child taking care of a parent, your role, again, there is a change in the role. You become a parent to your parent. And this is something that is causes a lot of distress. Yeah? And natural response to loss. So when you're experiencing these losses that come as part of all the dementia, is the grief. You experience grief, and it can take many forms. Some people are in denial. No, this cannot be happening to me. Some people are angry. Why me? Why it's happening to me? Some people could be bargaining in that kind of a situation. I will do anything if this improves. Depression, going into depression, that I don't care anymore. Acceptance. And the fact is that it's not in any sequence. Caregivers go through all these most of the times, these will come and go. And also you start grieving when the person is still there with you, because some aspects of that person's personality, that's gone, it's lost. So you are losing the person one piece at a time, and it's ambiguous loss, and that causes grief. You might be grieving about the future, the losses that happen in the future. So that's an anticipatory grief. Nevertheless, it's a grief. And you cannot avoid grief, because when we are having losses, naturally grief also comes. But how you respond to it, that is where you can have change, okay, in a good way. So one thing is to try and remember the person and cherish the person as they were before the disease. Okay, that is a real person, right? You know that person. So to remember and cherish the person from that point, that stage before they had the disease, how they were. And try to separate the person from the disease. The anger or the behaviors that you see, that is a disease. That is not the person. So try to separate the person from the disease and acknowledge that the feeling that you get, the anger, the denial, all that you have, understand that's part of grief and acknowledge that, okay? And be open to that new relationship. So from a spouse, maybe now you are becoming a caregiver, or from a child, from a daughter, now you are becoming almost like a parent to your parent. There's a change in that relationship. Nevertheless, the person with dementia may not recognize you as for that role, that whether you are the wife or the husband or whether you are the daughter, may not recognize, but they will always have that bond with you because you are that special person. They have that connection. So be open to that. That the relationship might be changing, but it's still there. That bond is still there. And connect with others who can relate. So talking to other caregivers, that is always very helpful. So joining a support group will be very helpful. Guilt. So this is another thing that caregivers experience. I have heard, from caregivers saying that they get angry with the person sometimes, and that is human. But then they feel very guilty. Oh my God, I'm so bad. I became angry. I started all this. I started this fight. She has no control. I should have thought better. But then this is where we need to be very clear that whatever has happened. We cannot change that, but learn from it. And then learn from that and then that's a positive guilt. You learn from that and try to avoid to your maximum ability. And do not let guilt prevent you from taking care of yourself. So how to cope with guilt? Acknowledge your feelings, reach out and talk to others who will understand you. And always, be mindful of the inner dialogue. That is what your mind is telling, if it's pulling you down, if it's always keeping on telling you are very bad, you are a bad caregiver, those thoughts are not going to help us. So always check those kind of thoughts and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, have compassion for yourself. It's very important. We have compassion for others, but we are the worst critics when it comes to ourselves. So very important to forgive you. Okay, and forgive that. Forgive yourself and have compassion. And always understand that you may not be the best caregiver, even though you want to be, but always understand you are trying to do your best. I may not be the best caregiver, but I'm trying my best. And that is a way to feel good about what you're doing. Okay, and that's very important. And devote some time every day for doing some fun things together with that person. Okay, so that's very important. Maybe watching a funny movie or a favorite television program, anything, but dedicate that time. Forget all else and enjoy that special time with that person. Stress is another thing that caregivers experience with all the challenges of caregiving, and with COVID, additional stress because home care may not be coming. Day programs, most of them are not working anymore. So you are not getting the support you used to get before. And that is understandable, that stress. And prolonged stress. One thing to know is that prolonged stress can cause a lot of health problems, because when we are stressed, our body produces cortisol, hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. But when we are struck, when the stress is prolonged, these same hormones can decrease our immunity, can increase our blood sugar, our blood pressure, increase the risk of heart disease, and cause digestive problems. So very important to do something. If you are really stressed, do something about it. Exercise helps to fight the effect of stress, cancel the effect of stress. The same effect of anxiety, exercise can cancel that. Identify your stressors. Keep track of what are the things that are stressing me out. What can I do something about it? And focus your energy on what you can control. There are some things that you cannot control, like home care not coming. You cannot control day programs not opening up. That's not in your control. But what can you control? And what can you do about it? Accept what you cannot control. That is very important. And try to seek help for the things where you actually need help. Worry and anxiety, again, very common emotions for caregivers. Worry is usually temporary for a particular situation. And worry is good. There is good worry. If it helps you take better care of yourself, it helps. But if it is not doing anything like that, then it's pointless. That worry is pointless. And if you are dealing with lots of worries and lots of stress, that's what we call anxiety. And the effects of anxiety are seen not just in the mind, also in the body. Okay, so you have to do something about that. So how do we manage worries? Expose your worries. Write down all that you're worried about. Okay, and then try to think: are all these true? Are these worries based on fact? Or talk to someone who knows, who can help you with that. Figure out whether your worries are true worries. Some of them may not be. Okay, and also try to figure out where are the areas where you can actually control. What can you control? And seek help. If you need some help to control some of those worries, seek that help and focus on what you can actually control. Okay, that is where the effort should come. What can I control? First of all, is it based on facts? Talking to other caregivers is very helpful. Other persons who are in the same journey, it's helpful. Then you will know whether they have the same worries. Is this true worries? And many caregivers are worried about what happens if they fall sick during the COVID. So very important to have a plan. Take care of all the future plan, your advance directive, your will, the power of attorney. All those things have to be done and kept in place. And also your family should be aware of where you have kept those documents. Okay, so that if someone else comes, it's suggested that you put them in a green sleeve and put them, attach them to the fridge door, so that anyone else who comes, they can get access to that. Okay, those documents. They don't have to go looking for it. And focus. So try to do things that you can actually control and take action. One way to take control is by having a routine. And routines help us to move from one task to another. Otherwise, it can be sometimes all these mental worries, anxiety, stress, all these can be paralyzing. It may not allow you to get up and do things. But having this routine is very good because it helps you move from one thing to the other. And make sure that you assign times for those things that really matter to you. For example, if you want to have some time for yourself, maybe time it when the person is asleep, and make sure that you are not doing anything else. You are taking that time for yourself. Okay, so it's very important to assign those tasks that are important. Assign times for that in your routine, and break up some big task into smaller, manageable tasks. Anxieties is severe, persistent worry, and as I said, anxiety can have impact on your mind as well as on your body. Anxiety by itself can affect your body. So it's very important to limit sugar, caffeine, and alcohol. This is what we tend to consume more when we are anxious. Some people drink a lot more coffee. Some people take to alcohol, drinking more alcohol. Some people want to eat more sugar. But anyway, the fact is the anxiety is already affecting your body. And these things, if you don't limit, it will have double the impact on your body. And once you have done what is in your control, there is no point in worrying about it. So shift your focus from whatever is worrying. You have done all that you can control, and then leave it. Then there's no point in thinking about that. Focus on your breathing. Make sure that you are breathing, because when we are stressed, sometimes we are taking very shallow breaths. We are not even breathing enough, getting enough oxygen. So focus on that. Distract yourself, listening to music, walking, going for a walk, or with any task. And here are some resources for you for anxiety. This is from anxietycanada.com. General coping strategies are available. You can just click and you'll get all those strategies. And CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a kind of psychotherapy. It's kind of psychotherapy to cope with anxiety, and it helps you identify wrong thinking, to correct that thinking, and change your behavior based on that. So that is that resource. Then there are several other resources, again from Anxiety Canada. CBT Training is available for caregivers for small groups. You can download this free mobile app, which will give you strategies for managing anxiety. And there are some more resources here. Another thing that you have to be very aware of is depression. And the person with dementia can develop depression. Caregivers are also very likely to develop depression. So very important to be aware of these symptoms and signs of depression. Feeling sad, guilty, or helpless. Feeling that you are useless, reduced sense of worth. Loss of interest in activities you enjoyed. So if you see that you are not getting the same kind of happiness from things that gave you happiness or pleasure, that is something to understand that that could be a symptom of depression. Excessive sleep or not able to sleep at all. Digestive problems, aches and pains that don't go away, that's there for no reason, it's there. Changes in weight or appetite. Trouble thinking, difficulty thinking and making decisions. Feeling restless, not able to focus on any task, restless. Pessimism, always thinking of the worst possible scenario. Irritable, suicidal thoughts or attempts. So if you have 3 to 5 of these symptoms, if you experience, and these symptoms are there for more than 2 weeks, that is very suggestive, highly suggestive of depression. And if you see the same things in the person with dementia too, some of these 3 to 5 of those symptoms, that also indicates depression. And the thing to understand is that depression does not get cured on its own. It just takes away your joy of living. And it can also increase the risk of dementia. And for the person with dementia, it can make the symptoms worse. Okay, but depression can be treated with medications, by counseling, and also non-medical therapies such as bright light. This person sees sitting in front of a source of bright light for up to 5 to 6 weeks. It really helps in changing the level of transmitters in the brain that can lead to depression. It can reset that. Reminiscence therapy, thinking of going over the photo albums and happy times, thinking of the happy times in the past, and being mindful. Mindfulness therapy is not having your mind full of worries. No, it means being mindful, focusing on what you are doing. Okay, like for example, your breath, being mindful. And please consult a doctor if you are experiencing any of these symptoms. Okay, and if these strategies don't work. Now, so this is the report that based on a study that was conducted by Dr. McGann from University of Calgary and Dr. Parmar from University of Edmonton. And this is this report was talking about the impact that COVID-19 has had on caregivers. 69% are feeling socially isolated. 66% of caregivers more strained. 80% of caregivers received less home care support. 75% provided more hours of care. 66% of caregivers feeling stressed and burnt out and not able to hang on anymore. They are almost ready to give up. 55% of caregivers experiencing poor quality of life. 48% having physical health problems. 58% having mental health problems. So definitely this COVID has had a huge impact on caregivers. So if you're a caregiver, you need education and support. And knowledge can be, it can be power, as for other things, for dementia as well. So learning about the disease, what to expect, what are the future challenges on the way, how can you get prepared, how can you meet those increasing care needs, so some coping strategies, all that you can get from the Alzheimer's Society of Calgary, information about resources that are available in the community, about support groups, how to access programs and services available in the community. That's called system navigation. This can be very frustrating, but we can help you with that. Planning for the future, that also we can help you with that. And learning about strategies, as your loved one's ability to communicate decreases, how can you communicate with them effectively? So strategies for communication. When these behavior changes happen, how do you deal with that? So strategies for responding to behavior changes. About self-care. So how do you take care of your own physical and mental health? The fact is, if you are not physically and mentally healthy, you cannot be a good caregiver. You cannot become a good caregiver even though you really want to. Build your support system. So how can you build your support system, connect with people, include them in that support group, support system, and how you can build up your capacity to deal with these challenging situations. All that will be provided by the Alzheimer's Society of Calgary. So if you are not yet connected, please do connect with us. Building resilience through self-care. So resilience is the ability to cope with challenges in life, to bounce back from challenging situations in life. For example, the COVID, caregiving itself, dementia caregiving itself is challenging, and the COVID-19 is another challenge on top of that. There are 6 steps to building your resilience. Paying attention to your physical health. Do all that you can to keep yourself physically healthy. Do not ignore your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your diabetes, all those matter, okay? Healthy mind resides in a healthy body, so very important. Reframe how you see challenges. So whenever all these challenges come in our life, if you start thinking of each of them as a problem, they will just pull you down. You won't be able to get up. So this is where seeing these challenges as opportunities, ways to think differently and act differently. Okay, it really helps if you start developing that kind of an attitude. And build emotional resilience. Look at your role models. How are they dealing with these challenges? Everyone has challenges. All caregivers have these challenges. How are they dealing with that? That it always helps. Or if you are spiritual, then maybe listening to spiritual discourses, or praying, or or reading scriptures. All that might give you some strength. So whatever is that works for you. Or telling yourself, reminding yourself that this is temporary. This is not permanent state. This is going to go away at one time. This is temporary. Give yourself break from the media, because the same with dementia as well as COVID. There's, if you go behind the media, that is, it adds to your stress. So you need to trust one source, and then do not follow it too much. Keep your life simple. When that time is tough, we have to stick to the basics. Simple, healthy living, healthy food, exercise, all that. We are going to talk about that. And also understand that some things are still beautiful. COVID has not affected. Sunrise, sunset, very beautiful, even now. If you see flowers, they're still very beautiful. COVID has not done anything to that. A child smile, still very beautiful. Those things never change. So try to find, pay attention to those, and practice relaxation techniques. So physical health, these are all the aspects of our well-being: physical well-being, mental well-being, social, spiritual, cognitive, emotional well-being. And all these you have to take care of that. Any one of these, if you ignore, then that will affect your health. So just quickly going through those. So physical exercise, very important, 30 to 45 minutes. That is what you need, of moderate intensity, aerobic exercise. If you like to get out and walk, that's good. and 5 days a week. Okay, that's what you have to aim for. If you like to go out and bike, that helps. If you don't feel, on days you don't feel like going out, then there are lots of exercise online, that are accessible. The YMCA has got a lot of exercise programs, about 600 the videos that you can download, and you don't have to go anywhere. You can just, the comfort of your home, you can do all this. Eating healthy, the next important one. So following a Mediterranean diet, that includes fruits, vegetables, oily fish, whole grains, olive oil, and olive oil for cooking, and also nuts. Nuts are healthy for us. So focusing on that. And even for the person with dementia, Mediterranean diet is very important. And some of these tasks, these exercise, try to include the person too. Then it becomes a combined, like an activity. Getting good night's sleep. So I've included lots of strategies here. Basically sticking to strict bedtime, going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, going out and getting some sunshine if possible, or in the room, have the blinds open and let in that sunlight. Exercising every day helps to have a good night's sleep, and at least 4 hours before bedtime, and avoiding watching TV. Because during the day, getting that sunlight, and at night when you don't use TV, cell phone, computer, then your body can reset that clock, the internal clock. So you can go to, you can get a better sleep if you do that. But if you're watching the television using computer and cell phone at night, then the brain gets confused, cannot understand between whether it is day or night. Okay, that's what happens. So it's very important to focus on that. So several other strategies are also included in this. Variety of activities. So even if you cannot travel anywhere, if your person likes to travel, you like to travel, there is all these virtual tours that are possible. That's, check them out. Create moments of joy for you as well as a person. So if both of you love music, then listening to, there is all these online music you can play. If you like dancing, then that is another thing. Paula Bickford from Confederation Park, she has got a YouTube channel, and where you can have just light dance for seniors. So you can just start it and you can dance along. Hang on to humor. So find time to laugh along with the person. That creates that bond. It's very important to laugh because it takes away the stress. Keeping your brain healthy is important. So that learning a new skill or a hobby. Online, there are art classes. If you want any options, I can put them in the chat box later. Learning about the disease, joining a support group are all very essential for your well-being. Engaging in productive activities. So it need not be fun activities all the time. When cleaning up, vacuuming, cleaning the house, doing the laundry, tending to the garden. All these are things that are productive, but makes you feel good when those are done. Relaxing activities are also great. Developing a sense of purpose. It's very important. If you don't have a sense of purpose, it's very difficult to tide over tough times like these. And being mindful, spiritual activities, mindfulness, prayer, all that helps. Stay connected with your near and dear ones through technology, and maintaining a gratitude journal. At the end of the day, you will be amazed at if you try to maintain a gratitude journal and you think about who are the people you can thank, you're thankful for this day. Then when you start doing that, it gives you a better sense of well-being and mental health and peace. And this is my concluding messages. Dementia refers to cognitive impairment that affects daily life. And Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia. Caregivers experience a lot of physical and mental health problems, and they should not be ignored, especially with the COVID, reduced home care, closure of day programs. All that is increasing your stress and causing burnout. So your caregivers would benefit from dementia education and knowledge about community resources. You can build up your resilience by taking care through self-care, by taking care of yourself. And if you experience any physical and mental health issues as caregivers, very important not to ignore them, but please seek medical help. And these are the resources available to us at this point of time. I've explained it several times, but chats are available, support is available. If you are a caregiver, you need information about anything, or you're dealing with a situation and you don't know how to go about it, maybe a behavior, all that, then this is, you can immediately pick up the telephone and give us a call, and our social workers will support you through that. Okay, so please do reach out to us. That's the reason why we exist. We provide online education. There are community resources and referral is there. Our website gives lots of information. Okay, and these are additional resources. So lots of resources for free counseling. Someone was asking me last time, so I've gathered information about organizations that provide free counseling, lots of mental health resources, and you're going to get a copy of this handout. So all this will be with you. You will have it. So thank you for listening. I've taken more time and I'm sorry about it, but there was lots of good information, and I thought that it'll be a loss if I don't get an opportunity to share them with you. So I'm going to share the link here in the chat box, link for the evaluation, and then I will take your questions.
Padma, thank you very much, and please don't apologize for taking time. Great information. Thank you. Very valuable information. So we appreciate that. And you've given us some fabulous resources there. Your Good Healthy Habits and the other resources. And yes, you're absolutely right. What we will do is make sure that we share this information with our viewers today. That in the event that they may need to connect with any one of the resources, and we'll also follow up to get your survey link sent out as well. I've just launched a poll here. If you wouldn't mind answering a few quick questions for us. That's most helpful for us. Your input is appreciated so that we can ensure that we're providing the best possible support through these presentations. So if you wouldn't mind just completing that poll for us quickly. And thank you to everyone for joining us today.